Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing a very spontaneous review. I watched this tonight after my Spooktober. I wanted a little bit of a break from a spooky movie and decided to throw in a Shaw Brothers film. This is one that I had heard a lot about. A lot of people love it. And it is directed by Corey Yuen, who, if you don't know, he also directed and starred in Righting Wrongs, which is one of my favorite movies that has ever been released by Vinegar Syndrome. And this movie stars Takeshi Kaneshiro, who, if you don't know who he is probably the main star of many Wong Kar-wai films, such as Fallen Angels and Chungking Express. He is the main cop in that movie that falls in love with Angela. Oh, what's her name? Mei Wong, I believe her name is. He's the one who is in her story. And this movie came out in 1996, so it's around the time of many of those films. And it was later, as I was reading the essay on this release, that I found out this is actually a remake of Boxer from Shangtung, which is a wonderful, wonderful movie. Another one that I gave 5 stars to from the Shawscope box set, which you can kind of see. But this is the film Hero. This is a brand new release by 88 Films. This is one that, when it was announced, I got very excited because I thought they were talking about the Jet Li film, Hero, from, I think, 2001 maybe, just a few years later. But this is a very action-packed film, as you can see from the front. First, let's kind of read off the back from about what the story is, because this one is basically a rehashing of Boxer from Shangtung, which I compared to Scarface when I reviewed it during the Shaw Brothers Withering Watchpower episode. But here's the story. Fleeing the impoverished homeland, brothers Ma Ring-jing, played by Takeshi Kaneshiro, and this is actually the typo copy that I pointed out during my haul video. They say it's Taksehi is what the back says. And Ma Tai Chung, played by Yuan Wai, arrive in Shanghai to seek the fortune, but become embroiled in the seedy underworld, or seedy world of big city triads, where Ring Jing's once insignificant life becomes an arrogant lust for power. So this movie, as I was watching it, I was getting very heavy vibes of Boxer from Shangtung. That just kept popping in my head throughout the entirety of the film. And it was when I was reading the essay by Andrew Graves, which is more of a critique of this movie about how much lesser it is compared to Boxer from Shangtung. But Boxer from Shangtung, I want to say, was from the late 70s, maybe. And this is about 20 years later, so I think it's just disconnected enough that I'm able to enjoy both of these for different reasons. And by the way, the theatrical poster, the alternate art for this release, is fucking awesome. I really enjoy that artwork. And this is what the essay book looks like. It does come with a poster that looks like the slipcover, but here's the essay book that it comes with. It has a lot of writings in it, pictures, all that. Just a 10-page essay, so it's not too long. I recommend anybody who gets this release to try and read it at least, to get the historical context of this, because this was one of the first movies that the Shaw Brothers had made after they abandoned movies, basically, in the early to mid 1980s, because they were falling off the wagon. They had a very heavy kind of contract where each actor, director, producer, everybody had to work 6 days a week for the Shaw Brothers. And a lot of these actors, they stopped working for the Shaw Brothers, and they talk about in this essay that Takeshi Kaneshiro, he was somehow able to split his acting credits from Shaw Brothers and the non-Shaw Brothers productions. And that's how he was able to do so many great films, such as Chungking Express, one of my favorites of all time. It might even be top 10 for me. I don't know. But this movie has probably the best action of a 1990s movie. Well, I guess 1986, so 80s. But I haven't seen too many Shaw Brothers 80s movies. But what the author Andrew Graves was saying about this movie is that this was probably one of many remakes from original awesome Chang Che directed Shaw Brothers films, such as Boxer from Chengtung. And he talks about how the action is not inspired. He talks about how the movie drones on, which I can see that, but personally, and this is where me and Andrew Graves quite disagree on, is that the action more than makes up for it. There are some really great action set pieces. Some of them remind me of Movie 2 and this box set here by Criterion. Also from Hong Kong, this is the series starring Jet Li, Once Upon a Time in China. Part 2 is the one that has Donnie Yen as the villain. And that movie is holy shit. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to see it. The action alone is insane. And this movie has that same sort of quality of the sets, of the costumes. It's very colorful. You can see on the slipcover there's a whole lot of explosions, and it's the same deal in Once Upon a Time in China, Part 2. But the really fun thing about this one is that it's kind of edging towards that gun fu subgenre. There's the kung fu / martial arts genre, and then John Woo came into the scene and created gun fu, which is kung fu but with guns. And this movie is absolutely insanity with it. It's not as insane as John Woo and having Chow Yun Fat flipping everywhere and doing all that, but it's still heavy gunplay going on mixed with martial arts. And oh my gosh, this movie has its slow points. I concede to it, but I think the action and the characters make up for it. Corey Yun is again in this film. He plays the uncle character of the love interest that Takeshi falls in love with. And he isn't really as fun and interesting as he is in Righting Wrongs, of course. And this is another point that I disagreed on with the essay writer Andrew, is that Corey Yun has presence in this movie. It's definitely not as interesting or funny as his Righting Wrongs character, who is just, that's like the perfect director / actor character, where the director is playing a character. But yeah, this movie is absolutely incredible. Everything in this movie is just awesome. And it was after the fact that I found out that it was a remake of Boxer from Chengtung, which I mentioned, but it felt validating to be able to pick that up, because as I'm watching more of these films, and I've always discussed how film to me, and also reading books and history, all of that, it's all just one big jigsaw puzzle. And every piece represents either a book or a movie, and then a group of pieces are, a genre or a director or an actor. And so there's a lot of kind of constantly shifting jigsaw pieces. And this movie especially is one that, as I was watching it, I was able to go like, oh, ooh, ooh, ah, ooh, ooh, I like, ooh, that reminds me of this, or that reminds me of that, and all of that. And this is that's what makes film rewarding for me. I don't watch movies just to watch movies. I enjoy watching movies, of course, but for me, it's all about the craft. It's all about the analysis. It's all about studying it. I find making those connections very fulfilling and rewarding, and also fun. I love when I can make connections between things, and this movie is like a center of the spider web of connections. And this movie is just so much fun. I think everybody should at least check this one out. If a lot of people have issues with remakes and sequels, but to me, if the remake is really good and can stand on its own, then I'm okay with it. And this is definitely one with that sort of situation. And I was very happy after watching it, and just being, just happy watching the movie. It was just a whole lot of fun. It's newly translated subtitles, so I think maybe Andrew Graves did not watch it with better subtitles. I'm not sure, because the essay on this release is very scathing. Not scathing, but there's maybe 2 paragraphs of positive thoughts on this movie that he provides, against maybe 30 paragraphs of just, this is why this movie is not as good as Boxer from Shangtung. This is why it's not as good as any of the other Shaw Brothers films. And it's like, okay, we get it. This is after the golden age of Shaw Brothers, as it slowly transitioned into the new studio, Celestial Pictures, which have done many of the modern kind of martial arts films and all of that. But I think people should give this a fair try. I'm trying to think anything else for this video. I was kind of shocked because I looked up Corey Yuen. I was like, what else has he done? And apparently he has done Red Cliff, which I thought, what's his name? Oh my gosh. I thought Red Cliff was done by John Woo. I thought it was him, because that's why I watched Red Cliff many years ago when I first discovered Hard Boiled and The Killer. Especially The Killer. That one's amazing. I haven't watched Hard Boiled in a very long time. Probably since 5th grade. But apparently he had done that. Apparently he had done The Transporter with Jason Statham. I did not realize that he directed that movie. So I'm immediately going to sort of rewatch all of them. All of the Transporter movies, because I've been really wanting to revisit my favorite Jason Statham movies. He is I wouldn't say guilty pleasure kind of actor for me, but if I see him on a poster, I'm gonna see that movie. I love Jason Statham. He's a really great character actor, and it's a shame that he was not given more to do. And the awesome, or the okay but very promising shock film, The Meg. I'm probably one of the few people who have pretty okay feelings on that movie. Most people don't like it. But, yeah, that was just a little aside. But, so, thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the night.